Hello, everybody, and welcome to Variant Edition's new releases show. My name is Brandon. This is another pre-recorded session because later today, well, after I record this, but before this is going out, I will be having a meeting with a whole bunch of representatives from independent bookstores here in Edmonton to discuss what we might be doing for this year's Independent Bookstore Day. That's the last Saturday in April. As some of you might know, it's the week before Free Comic Book Day. So it's really kind of a 1-2 punch. Last year, we did Independent Bookstore Day. We did a little passport with everybody in the area. And it was a huge success. We had a little mini after party at Audrey's afterwards. It was really nice. And then we did Free Comic Book Day at Pimedaway. It was kind of like a send-off for us there as we ended up moving into our new location and we're operational as of May 15th. That's the location we're in right now. And so those were huge successes last year, even though we really didn't have space. We had like a room that Pimedaway was very extremely gracious on getting to us. Actually, this past Friday, I believe, Thursday or Friday, was the 1-year anniversary of David of Pimedaway reaching out to us and asking if we could use a room, some space, a haven, something to get us through. And you know what? Without that, I have no idea if we'd be here. Honestly, probably not. The store is Variant Edition. And yeah, it's been a ride, obviously, since that last year. And I've come through it. The store's come through it. We're here and we're making plans for some big events to come. Later in this episode, I will be throwing to an interview with Deniz Camp once again. We talked with him last week about Ultimates, his first volume of which hit stands last week. And this week we're talking to him about a book that will be on final order cutoff this weekend. It's Assorted Crisis Events. You'll be seeing him talk about that and a few other things over the next few weeks. Stay tuned to our socials as we'll have some things going up there, including parts of this video and parts of last video. We really love Deniz's work and we think a lot of you are going to enjoy it too. And yeah, we're really big behind that. So, but before we get to that, let's go over the new comics. I know there's usually more of a preamble and everything, but like I said, this week I am essentially at a meeting and would not be able to get here in time for a show. I have no idea how long or short that will go. And next week, actually, my dad is back in town once again. He is up. He's doing some work with Nate, I believe, and the province in general to rewrite some of the automotive's instructions manuals for like places like SATE and Nate and all that kind of stuff. I'm getting some of the details wrong, but he's retired a couple of years ago. Basically, he was right at the retired right before the first year of like kind of more COVID-y shutdown. My dad had talked about how he was closer to a kind of like a better pension, but he figured if he worked that extra year or two, he'd shave off like another 5 or 10 of his life in general. Which is obviously not ideal. And with him sort of leaving a spot, that SATE would be able to hire one of the 3 people, at least, that they promised jobs to before the pandemic really hit, and they had to be told that there was no position. So anyways, he's going to be up next week. So there'll be another pre-recorded show. And probably a little bit more from Deniz Camp or something else. I've got a plan for something else, and it does involve the thing where I decide stuff. But you know, it might not end up being me deciding things. I have not quite decided that yet. And I'm going to see if I can do something a little neat. Maybe do it like once a month. We'll see. All right, folks. Let's get to the books, the bookie books. We are going to start out here with a big one from Jason Aaron and Mahmoud Asrar. I was able to read most of this first issue. I didn't end up finishing it when it first came out, but you get a good chunk of issues here in this first Bug Wars #1. Okay, good. Making sure that you can see all of that. Slade Slaymaker is a kid from Alabama, suddenly lost in a vicious world beyond his imagining. A world of marauding ant armies, spell-casting spider witches, and beetle-riding barbarians. A kingdom of tiny but deadly warriors hidden in his own backyard. The same world that saw his father eaten alive by insects now plunges young Slade into the middle of a brutal bug war to decide the fate of his family. From the superstar writer team of Jason Aaron and artist Mahmoud Asrar comes the oversized debut of a dark fantasy epic for the ages. It is as described on the tape. It is wild. It is violent. It has some Game of Thrones feel to it, but with sort of Jason Aaron's ability to write sort of in an epic form. Like when he was doing Thor, God of Thunder and all that, you had these big wild ideas that he was throwing out there. And this is that with kind of like a familial base of a young kid encountering this world. And so it's kind of like the kid goes off to save an area, but like with a lot more violence than you would find in sort of your typical YA magical world type of thing. So think more kind of like Conan, Game of Thrones with that kind of magical world right in our backyard. It is absolutely amazing. And I'm going to be popping it into a few people's files who I know will really enjoy this style of book. So keep an eye out for that. There's a couple things that ended up being a little bit late. This was one of them from a couple of weeks ago, the Superman Lex Luthor special that really sets up the next phase of some of the Superman stuff in the summer of Superman coming up here. Currently, Lex Luthor has kind of lost all memory of who he really is and maybe kind of like how much of a dick he is. And this kind of goes through and does a little bit of a change to the status quo, I would say. So Superman folks, that will be in your file so that you don't have to worry about missing out on any big story that, you know, if you come back to the next issue of Superman, you're like, wait, when did this happen? It happened in there, and it'll be in your file. We've got Eddie Brock Carnage. It is, as it says on the tape, Carnage is loose and has bonded with Eddie. Now, why are these two together? That's a big question. Is this book going to be violent? Absolutely. It's called Carnage, and it is written by Charles Soule with art by Jesus Saez. And it is just quite a violent affair, but it's interesting to kind of see the pulls there where Carnage is sort of like the murder side, and Eddie over the years has kind of softened from I'm gonna eat your brains to more of a hero-ended but darker character. So there's a little bit of push and pull there. It's really nice. We've got Marvel Mutts. This collects a bunch of the Marvel Unlimited exclusive comics that have been on Marvel's comic streaming app. And it is, as it reads on the tape, a whole bunch of stories about all the wee catos, doggos, and pets in the Marvel universe, done sort of like an It's Jeff style, which, speaking of Jeff, we will get to him shortly. We also have the first issue of Robot Todd. Look at how gorgeous this book is. It's from Farrell Dalrymple, who is doing 4 issues in this series. It's from Floating World Comics. And my goodness, look at that. I can show you this because it was supposed to be out last week. Thank you, Diamond. And here's a little description here. I am Todd. I seem to be currently incapacitated and don't remember how I came here, or if there was anything else before this moment. I know that my body is resilient, can repair itself and recharge its quantum core from nearly any power source. It is pointless to consider what happens when my systems and or this environment eventually perish, as all things must. The only present is real. Everything I see, magic, beauty, and wondrous life abounding. But yeah, look at this beautiful, beautiful artwork. It's going to be really exciting to kind of read through this series. We have the first issue of Green Lantern Corps, spinning off from, of course, Green Lantern. This does feature a wider team of Green Lanterns trying to solve some galactic business that's coming up with a very surprising member, maybe members by the end of this issue. But about halfway through, you kind of get a jolt and you see what's happening with like the color spectrum of lantern rings and what powers are kind of shattering almost right now. So there's a bit of that happening, and yeah, we're going to see how this team kind of works through it. We have One World Under Doom. This is Marvel's big kind of almost year-long event. There'll be 9 issues, I believe, in this run where Doom is running roughshod over the Marvel Universe. This has some surprising bits to start out with, but all you need to know really is Doom has won, basically. How, why, and what are his intentions? Well, we're going to see as we go through this, but there's a few things that he puts in place that will have a lot of people going like, well, I mean, that's actually pretty good, isn't it? But at what cost are these things in place? What personal values are going to be challenged, and what's going to go on from there? It's hard to say. And I'm very excited to tell all of you that it's Jeff. The 2 issues before the third Venomverse one, which I do still believe we have been reprinted by Marvel, so you can get some It's Jeff in its original iteration and the Into the Jeffverse volumes. Once again, especially for those of you who have discovered Jeff from the Marvel Rivals game, he's amazing. We all love him. Everybody loves Jeff, and this is just a really smart thing to do. This is ahead of Marvel actually putting those 3 that I spoke about, Jeff collections, into one collected edition for folks who do like other graphic novel format. That's going to come out very soon. Finally, 4 single issues. We have an offering from Boom Studios called Bronze Faces, #1. Soho, London. Childhood friends Timmy, Sango, and Gubana reunite on the eve of the British Museum's historic purchase of the works of Timmy's father, the seminal Nigerian artist Adwale Balogun. I'm not going to hit these names proper. I'm sorry. Timmy has been invited as a guest of honor, but what the museum is heralding as a triumphant acquisition, the trio sees nothing short as a brazen cultural theft. Emboldened by the night of drinking and shared outrage, they concoct a bold scheme to steal back the artwork themselves. But when they come into possession of a document called the Register, outlining dozens of colonial-era stolen artifacts, their sights turn even higher to the Benin bronzes. The British Museum's cache of nearly 1,500 works of art stolen from the Kingdom of Benin. Celebrated authors Shobo and Shov Coker, who did New Masters, one of our favorites from Image in the past year, draw from their Nigerian heritage for the heist of a lifetime, joined by acclaimed artist Alexandre Tefingi. Prepare for a story that's once an exhilarating adventure and simultaneously a heartbreaking descent into mythology, history, and the horrors of colonialism, perfect for celebrating the start of Black History Month. And yeah, it's a great creative team. The artist most recently did Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, and The Good Asian and Once Upon a Time at the End of the World was with Jason Aaron, and The Good Asian was with Pornsak Peshote, who does some absolutely amazing work as well. So that's what we have for Is This Single Issues. Oh, outside of this bad boy, finally, Treasury Size. I know a lot of people have been asking about this, and this was one of the books that had been delayed to us. So we've got that, The Untold Legend of the Batman, here in hand and soon into the hands of our wonderful customers. Speaking of some Batman stuff, we've got Boy Wonder, baby. This is from Juniba, who is a remarkable creator. We have a few different books of their works that you can't really find in a lot of places because we were getting them from TKO. And TKO's, well, one, I don't think they're a going concern anymore, which really sucks. But two, they really helped get us aware of Juniba because we were ordering all kinds of the TKO product, and they did a couple of wonderful all ages books for them over there. They also have the second volume of Monkey Meat out this week as well. So timing is perfect. For those of you who don't know, Monkey Meat is a sort of anthology style series that kind of satires existing or whatnot, corporations and all this kind of stuff in kind of magical realism style on this island. And I know Juniba has talked about it as it's kind of his Hellboy. There's like some mythology stuff built in, but it is really sort of going to be a series of ideas that are building to this tapestry. And he kind of takes that world building over here, which reframes the story of Damian Wayne in a very fairy tale esque story. The once young prince Damian Wayne was raised to be the heir to the fearsome League of Assassins, but everything changed when his father, the Batman, reclaimed him and brought him back to Gotham City. As Robin, Damian discovered he was merely one of several princes, preceded in his role by brothers Nightwing, Red Hood, and Red Robin. But when his father is forced to leave the city on urgent business and a rash of abductions is accompanied by whispers of a demon stalking Gotham's dark alleys, Damian will find himself battling alongside his adoptive brothers in a race against time. Visionary writer-artist Juniba makes his mark on the timeless story of Batman and Robin, synthesizing the characters' complex history into an accessible and heart-rending tale. This has the complete miniseries that happened earlier this year. A little trip to the past. We've got the first volume of DC's Finest, the Doom Patrol. DC's Finest is a batch of kind of bigger collections that will be going through different eras of characters. And I don't know if you can see that, but kind of marking them in the timeline. So there's not going to be numbers on the spine, but you can sort of like go about the years and have all these different stories. These are the original Doom Patrol stories. Introducing the Doom Patrol, led by the wheelchair-bound chief, three outcasts of society, Robot Man, Negative Man, and Elastigirl, embrace their abnormalities to become heroes, and maybe also form a family along the way. Together, the trio will face the bizarre villainy of the General Immortus, Monsieur Mala and the Brain, Animal Mineral Man, the Brotherhood of Evil, and more. With the help of wannabe members Beast Boy and the world's fifth richest man, Mento, they may just stand a chance. And finally this week, we have the compendium edition of Kill or Be Killed. This is an all-in-one softcover edition that we will very shortly have signed book plates for, as we have for a lot of Brubaker Sean Phillips books. This came out a few years ago. This is all the volumes, 4 volumes in one, for $80 Canadian. That's basically $20 per volume, and then you get the whole thing. Dylan is just an average depressed grad student, but when a failed suicide attempt changes everything he's ever known, he is propelled against his will into a life of vigilante justice. From the award-winning team of Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, Kill or Be Killed began as a twisted look at vigilantism, but quickly became a correct reflection of the world around us. This is so good, as is pretty much all of the Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips books. I'm very excited for folks to experience this if they haven't, because I know a lot of people have just discovered them over the years on some of their latest projects and books like Reckless. So that's very exciting. All right. That is going to do it for this portion of the show. I'm going to toss it over to the interview that I did with Deniz Camp, and then we'll be back shortly afterwards just for some quick words of goodbye. All right. We'll see you on the other side of this. Hey everybody, welcome to Variant Edition streaming show. My name is Brandon Schatz, and today we are joined by a very special guest. We have the creator, co-creator of the upcoming Assorted Crisis Events. It's Deniz Camp.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me.
how about you describe what the book is about to our viewers?
Absolutely. So in one sentence, I think I'm using two one-sentence shorthands for this. One is Crisis on Infinite Earths if it was happening to normal, everyday people. And then also it's sort of Black Mirror if time and space were breaking down. So the concept is that there is, in the world a lot like ours, there is a time crisis. That is, time is literally breaking down. The past and the future are getting mixed up with the present. You can take a wrong turn into the wrong century. You can get attacked by your evil doppelganger from an alternate dimension. All this stuff is happening to everyday people, and they all have to kind of survive it and find a way through it, and find a way to live, which I think hopefully speaks to our current situation.
And that's really where I wanted to dig in today, is the way that you approach this storytelling. You have these issues that are all separate stories, sort of one-offs about genuine, just human beings trying to live their life in what appears to be extraordinary circumstances. Why did you want to tell the stories like this?
Yeah, I feel like I knew that I wanted to tell. I wanted a series to be about people as personal and as specific as I could make them, and so for me, like, the most interesting thing about stories is character, and that's what we relate to as readers, is we see something of ourselves, or we see something that interests us, something that we relate to. And so yeah, so it was really about finding a concept that allowed me to do that. And so it was always character first, and the kind of the idea of what exactly was going to be uniting all of the stories didn't come until a little bit later. And I had this idea that, what's one thing that's fundamental to us. My experience, it's really about channeling the experience of living right now in a world where everything seems to be crumbling around us. All of our institutions seem to be crumbling around us. And so it was really about taking the concept was taking something that's fundamental to the human experience, and that's time, and saying, okay, well, what if we mess with that, and using all the tropes of time travel stories or time loop stories, or what have you.
What I really enjoyed about the experience of reading these books was sort of sitting down with the characters and, like you said, getting to know them, even briefly, and then experiencing what was a lot of modern day crisis that we have in this giant extrapolated way. Like you say, using time to sort of accentuate what horrors we're kind of like visiting upon ourselves in some ways,
Yeah.
or just experiencing in general as society, and oftentimes through no fault of our own, just sort of how the world is affecting us. That third issue especially, just as I was going through it and I got to the end where there's specific phrasing between the two different factions, and I just sat with that for so long, because it is this universal experience that you've managed to put into an extraordinary circumstance.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really the goal, is to speak to the infinite through the intimate, to talk about the very big with the very small, and like, hopefully we're talking about things that are relevant to people. We're all adding some fantasticalness for various reasons, and then and we're telling big stories, but the way that they feel to people is big. It's big because it's happening, just like the way that when something happens to you, it feels massive, even though it might not be something that changes the world. I want people to feel that, readers to feel that.
And honestly, you've succeeded greatly, especially with the team that you've assembled is really amazing. It's Eric, how do we pronounce his last name?
Zawadzki.
Okay. And like Jordi Belair as well.
Yeah.
And Hassan doing the letters, right?
Yes, everyone has been so amazing. Every individual has added so much to the stories, and to the end result. And so everyone's kind of nobody's just doing a job. Everybody's really working hard to use their creativity, and has a lot of latitude to change things and put their own stamp on it and tell the story their particular way. So really, I can't say enough about all the amazing work coming from my collaborators on this. And that's really what makes the issues special, I think.
Yeah, like the first issue is absolutely amazing. I like it as the introductory concept because it is a lot bigger and showier.
Yeah.
But then when you get to the second issue, you can really see the specificity that the team is bringing to things, because the story functions almost like clockwork. You're experiencing it out of time, but the imagery involved is almost a ticking clock.
Yeah, that was the goal. That's exactly right. I think that one in particular I was really focusing on the rhythm and the music of the like all the sound effects and the repeated imagery and the repeated phrasings and the way that they all get kind of cut up and mashed together. And that was the concept for that one, or at least that was part of the concept. That was the formal thing. And every issue we're trying to reinvent the storytelling. Like if you look at issue 3, the right hand page and the left hand page and the right hand page are mirrors of each other. Like they're laid out in exactly the same way, to tell one story and another story, kind of, or from two different perspectives, I should say. The same story but from two different perspectives. And every issue has something like that we're trying to reinvent the storytelling, just not just to do it, but to get the story across in a more visceral way, I think, is why. Like for that example, issue 2, I wanted you to feel kind of overwhelmed by the end, where as things kind of crash together, and so that structure was in service of that, and kind of overwhelmed by the whole situation.
And we're back. I hope you all enjoyed that little snippet from our interview with Deniz Camp. We're going to be showing a lot more from that interview over time. And on the release day of Assorted Crisis Events, we're going to release the whole conversation in one piece so that people can really dig into the creator and what he is putting forward, not just with this work, but with a lot of his other works too. Definitely stay tuned to our socials for more information. As well as information about some upcoming events of ours, because we are going to be trying to do some interesting things. We're going to do some adjustments to our website and go from there. Now, normally at this time of year, we're doing a lot of book fairs as Variant Edition. This year, that might not be the case. Now, one of the reasons behind it are the fact that the Edmonton EAs are currently on strike. That includes like all the librarians and support work that teachers have. And what might follow shortly in March are the teachers in general going on strike. There's current talks now, but as one of our customers said, he hasn't gotten more than a 1.5% raise in the last 11 years, which is not tenable with how costs have gone up. So as a store, it is difficult when we can't do great things like go out and do book fairs and get books to people. But of course, we are 100% supportive of everybody going on strike and fighting for what they well deserve in terms of wages, in terms of compensation, in terms of helping our youth of today to figure out where they're going and have the resources that they need. And this is all to say that we absolutely stand with the teachers, with the teachers' assistants, with the entire structure that is trying to teach our kids through better education and through the passion that they have to impart information to folks. To that end, I know that as the times go, we will be trying to make some plans if and when the teachers go on strike to have a little bit of programming at Variant Edition for parents and kids to see what's going on there. And so I'm going to be talking with some folks to see if there's anything that I could do, even sort of like on a weekly or twice weekly basis. We have an upstairs area where things can happen, or even just offering some type of program to help people or get some books into kids' hands or something. So I'm going to be trying to figure out some of that too. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. I will be back here pre-recorded next week, and you can talk to me in real form here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We are open from 11 till 7. I'm not always here through to the end of the day. Like on Thursdays, I do deliveries, but Craig is here all day Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 11 to 7, and Saturdays from 11 to 5. And you can catch me solo on Sundays at 11 to 5. Those are our store hours. We're closed on Mondays, and we're here on Tuesdays processing. If you're ever in a pinch and you're in the area and you're like, oh, I should probably just pick up my comics, we'll let you do it. You just kind of knock on the door a little bit. But yeah, thank you all for being here. We will talk with you all again very soon. And until next time, keep fit and have fun.